Welcome to another Gopher Hole podcast. Today we have our resident Gopher Hole expert, Daniel House, in the house because he has been staying in the house. And we are going to talk about the Gophers in the draft. We're going to talk about some new commitments. We're going to talk about all the craziness that Daniel's been experiencing because I know this is pretty much like your Christmas Eve with the draft tomorrow. So why don't you catch us up on you making the rounds and how busy you've been?
I've been so busy. And you know, Nadine, there's Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving. You got Christopher Columbus Day, all the big holidays out there. But draft day is number one in my book. So I'm hyped. I'm ready to go. 200 players graded out. You can watch it in real time on my Twitter feed. Created a Google Sheet. So check that out.
Okay, tell me what exactly you created for everyone that's watching and listening.
It's a top 200 big board. So basically I graded every player in the draft 1 to 200. And then it also is positional based. So you can go and see every position group where I have the players slotted. So it'll be updated in real time and you'll know exactly who's the best player on the board at a specific moment. It updates automatically. So it's pretty cool, actually.
Unbelievable. How long did this take you to make?
It takes a long time, Nadine. I'm watching people during the season and leading up to the draft, as much film as possible. Developing opinions, ranking them all 1 to 200 isn't easy because there's some guys that you really like that are higher on your board and some that you probably wish could be up on your board a little higher that you have to lower down. So it's tough, especially when you have position groups that are loaded, like wide receiver and offensive tackle in this draft.
Oh, wow. Well, so you guys can all find that on Daniel is be posting live on Twitter, and it's Daniel House NFL, and be sure to follow him. And also too, he's created a ton of great video content that you can see on our Gopher Hole YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. And also we are still so excited. It's still new to us to be on the Talk North podcast, entire system channel, everything. And they've just been fantastic so far.
Yeah, it's really exciting to be with a network like that and have the chance to talk Gopher sports because right now the content's crazy. I haven't slowed down one bit with all the commitments and everything going on. There's no dull moment every day.
Exactly. And that's actually what I want to talk about first is some of these commitments because PJ Fleck is getting 4-star, possible even like who could have been graded as 5-star recruits. And he's not getting visits. He's literally doing this. He's on the phone. What is this guy doing? And let's talk about these recruits he's getting signed.
Well, PJ's mentioned before that they were ahead of the game on the virtual visits. So they've been able to get in recruits' homes and show them the campus and little tweaks like showing them dorm rooms. That's what one commit told me. He was able to see little details of the campus without physically setting foot there. So they were ahead of the curve and were able to get that out to recruits. And it worked really well during COVID-19 because obviously you're not going to have any people traveling up. And that's a huge advantage. I look at what he's been able to do, landing some huge commits, 4-star guys like Stephen Ortiz Jr. from Arizona, Vontae Dickerson, Sam Jackson today out of Illinois. This has a chance to be a historic class for the Gophers, and it's shaping up to be one of those roster injections that people just haven't seen before.
Can you talk about those top 3 guys, what you like about each one of them?
Well, Dickerson's the top player in Nebraska, so going in and sniping Scott Frost's guy. A lot of people on the message boards are freaking out on Nebraska's site. I was checking them all out. The fans on Gopher Hole were all excited to read those. But he's a playmaker. The speed, one of the things that I love about him is he can break on the ball. So he's in his back pedal, maybe he opens his hips and the receiver snaps off his route. It's maybe a curl or something like that. And he has the recovery speed to get in the passing lane. He's just a fluid mover. You see a guy that's going to play in the NFL. Those are the type of prospects that PJ Fleck's landing, high upside athletic players that haven't really met their full potential yet. So I love what they got with Dickerson. And then Stephen Ortiz Jr. is the versatile player. He reminds me a lot of Antoine Winfield Jr. because he can do so many different things. Ideally, you want to play him at slot cornerback. He can play safety, maybe primary outside cornerback, all those little things he can do. His physicality is great. He's awesome in run support. He brings a lot of DB swagger to the room. I enjoyed talking with him. He's really rallying around to get other guys to join him in the class. So when you're landing big fish like this, you're able to also be able to get on the recruiting trail and have those guys help land other people that you're trying to to land. And also, I like Sam Jackson a lot, the 4-star commit from Illinois. Today, he can play quarterback or wide receiver, ideally wide receiver at the next level, a slot guy. But some of the throws he made on tape, I'm like, going across his body, 50 yards on a dime. He has athletic ability. And when you can land players that have the versatility to do multiple things, I think about the packages that you can do, like wildcat stuff, reverses gadget stuff that he can provide because he's so athletic. He was a receiver as a sophomore, 50 catches, 900 yards, and 14 receiving touchdowns. Then he played quarterback last year. So when you land players with that type of talent level, you know you're doing something right on the recruiting trail.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's not like we're winning over mid-majors or something, or, smaller D1 schools, things like that. Like when you look at their offer list, and you look at, say, a kid from Nebraska, not going to Nebraska, not even having a visit here and committing here, like that is just something that if you would have told me that a couple of years ago, I said, no way, we don't have a shot at those. Like, let's just focus on other people.
Well, look at Avante Dickerson's offer list: LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, beating out programs like that for a top flight talent. And 2021 recruiting rankings being 5th nationally right now, behind Ohio State, North Carolina, Florida, Clemson. You're right in a very elite company of recruiting there, and it's early. There's still other players that they can land. Like I mentioned, all these guys in the 2021 class, they want to make this historic, and they're working together to try to get other guys in the boat, per se, for the 2021 recruiting class.
I think that's such a huge thing too, because it's one thing to hear it from, a grown-up or, somebody older, but it's another thing to hear from one of your peers saying, you know what, this is the school, this is what I believe in, this is where you want to be, this is the cool place to go,
Yeah, they're becoming a program. You're seeing the benefits of an 11-2 season. A lot of people were freaking out like, don't you think their class should have been better the last one because they went 11-2? You're going to see the impact now because they had so many people committed early in that last class that the recruiting impact's going to show up in the 2021 class, and you're already seeing it, being able to land 4 stars, maybe more down the pipeline here. The talent injection into the roster, I love the way that they've addressed the defensive backfield with the cornerbacks, because it's the strength right now next season. Benjamin St-Juste and Coney Durr, they're going to be a big part of that defensive scheme. Cornerbacks is strength. But moving into the future, they've got to fill those holes. So they're already looking at, Stephen Ortiz Jr. and Avante Dickerson coming in and making an impact right away. And then Tamarian Crumpley from Cincinnati, Ohio, another skill set that's different. Each of them provide different skill sets, which I also like. So many people are all about getting length on in the defensive back room, but you also want shifty guys that are real fluid movers. So they've mixed up the skill sets. Crumpley is more of the press man guy that'll jam you at the line of scrimmage, and also very physical. All these guys play super physical, and I love that because you can move guys around into the box and be super creative like Joe Rossi has been with all of his defensive players in the past. So, hey, they're doing some great things on the recruiting trail, and it seems like it's just the beginning.
Absolutely. I forget what month it is. It's April, right? Just because everything is like running together. Yeah. I literally thought it was March last week. So
yeah. And look at some of the other ones that they were able to land. Brady Boyd out of Texas, dynamic playmaker. You look at the speed that he has, 4.4 speed. The shuttle times are fantastic. Ball tracking is one of his strengths, making really tough grabs outside his frame. Not only that, but Lemeki Brockington from Georgia, speed, vertical separation. I love some of the vertical releases that he had on his film. And then in the red zone, he was able to make some really nice plays. Someone you want to get the ball to in space to create, super dynamic. The receivers, that is the one thing that has changed so much with this staff, is finding guys that are dynamic, can do multiple things for you, finding the athletes, and then you figure out how you're going to use them later. That's something that has really helped this roster become a lot better in a short period of time.
Well, and you've got to think, too, that these guys are coming in seeing Tanner Morgan, who is probably the most underrated quarterback in the nation. When you look at stats, though, he is top 10 in just about everything. And you even see him hop on with, it was Ortiz, I believe, on his Facebook, or his Instagram Live. And just for them to be broadcasting together, that's already showing that bond and that connection and the fact that they want to play with Tanner.
Yeah, and that's the thing you want to create is that leadership. And these guys, when they're away on COVID-19, so many people are worried about if they're going to be able to withstand that. How is it going to impact things? But you look at the leadership of that team with people like Tanner as a key leader. They're staying focused. They're trying to find ways to be creative and work out. Videos are being sent to them. They can do in-home stuff with pots and pans and all the stuff like that. There is really no stone unturned when it comes to maximizing this time. And it's a great way for players to personally develop their skills, focus on some things that maybe they wouldn't normally have time to do. And when they get back, then everyone integrates together and you roll.
Absolutely. And I've also got to think that the next thing that we're going to be talking about, the draft, that's got to be appealing too. When, PJ Fleck is talking to you and saying, listen, I've got Antoine Winfield going pro early. I've got these other guys that are expected to be drafted. I mean, and that's literally what every guy wants to hear. And of course, you want the education. We have the best city. We have all these Fortune 500 companies. But like for guys that want to go to the NFL, you want to hear that guys went to the NFL from your school.
It's a huge thing to sell. 6 or 7 guys possibly on an NFL roster in a few weeks here. That's something that you can tell recruits. History of developing NFL talent, the receiver position, you notice it specifically because of his past track record with Corey Davis and Tyler Johson now, Rashad Bateman next year, probably a top 10 pick, which is crazy to think about. Easily number 2 on the wide receiver board right now, looking way ahead. We haven't dug in completely to that class. We're still focused on this draft, but the ability to tell recruits that you have NFL talent going through the pipeline of your system, a developmental program is something that recruits are looking for.
Oh, absolutely. So let's dive into these guys. So, I mean, let's start with the biggest of the big dogs first. Antoine Winfield Jr. Where do you have him on your Daniel House staying in the house board?
I have him at number 24. He's my number 1 graded safety. Grant Delpert's within 3 spots at number 27. I'm a lot higher on Winfield. I've watched him play so much and had the personal interaction to see how he studies the game. His versatility. He can play any coverage scheme that you really want to do. If it's single high, playing the deep half, coming into the box and run support, nickel corner, safety, primary cornerback. The football instincts is what really stands out, Nadine, when I watch Antoine Winfield play. And I wanted to pull up one clip to show that. And in the Fresno State game, early on, a little bit before the game-winning interception, there's a moment where Fresno State runs a post seam kind of route here. So it's a post wheel concept, and the running back leaks out to the seam, and the receiver is stretching with a post. So you see the safeties committing to that receiver. And once the running back leaks out, he's got a free break, and the quarterback's able to hit over the top. So I wanted to show that play first. It led to a touchdown for Fresno State. So this post wheel concept is what you need to watch. See how that all works. On the next clip, they run a Y throwback. So it's out of a different personnel grouping. And Winfield is so smart here. The instincts are incredible. If you watch him at the top of the screen, he's showing like he's going to commit to that post like the safeties did the last time. And they ran a little bit of a different wrinkle with the tight end leaking across. Winfield obviously sees this. He's looking out of the corner of his eye going, okay, this guy's leaking out. The running back before, you can see, is kind of selling like he's going to run that wheel again from the first clip. But they made a tweak, and the tight end leaks across. Winfield is committed to this post, but watch, he recognizes that and slams on the brakes, baits the quarterback into throwing the ball. And he knows there's going to be a lot of air under this throw. He breaks on it, and game-winning interception. Those are the things that add up over the course of a game. When you see a little wrinkle in the first clip where the running back's wheeling, and then you have that post coming over the middle and the safeties commit, then in the second clip, it's all about the instincts, knowing exactly what's going to happen and baiting the quarterback into a big mistake. So Winfield, anything you want him to do, he can do it. And NFL teams, I see him going in the first round. They're going to fall in love with that. For sure, within 25, pick 25 to 50 is the sweet spot.
I've got a hard question for you about him then. What would you say is a developmental area?
Developmental area definitely is the biggest thing with him is the durability. That's some of the things that the teams have really been checking into with the foot that he had that in the Maryland game, and then he missed time with that the year before. Just the little injuries that he's had and that's caused him to miss action. Teams are checking out medically, and they'll sign off on that probably. I've heard good things that he did well medically, so I don't see honestly too many concerns. There's really he checks all the boxes of what you're looking for in a safety in the modern NFL.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And that's so exciting. Cause I mean, I'm going to be able to watch this. Cause how long has it been since we've had somebody go first round?
First round, Lawrence Maroney. So
I thought it was that long.
Crazy. Max Williams was a second round pick, but Lawrence Maroney in the first round. Isn't that crazy to think about how long it's been? And the developmental track of Antoine Winfield Jr., it just shows these defensive backs that have committed already, hey, already producing a late first round talent at the defensive back position. It's something to sell.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, the draft's going to be really fun. The NFL and NBA, like to actually have Gopher fans have the ability to see someone like Antoine Winfield, and in basketball, Daniel Otero. And it's been just so long. I mean, because it was Chris Humphreys for basketball, you know? Yeah,
you're seeing the excitement of players being developed and going to the next level and representing the program. And that helps recruiting. You're getting eyeballs on your guys and showing that you have developmental programs.
Yes. Next up, I want to ask you about our hometown boy, Tyler Johson from North Minneapolis. He has just blown everyone away and been absolutely fantastic. But this is a pretty loaded wide receiver class. Where do you see him ending up?
It's tough because I have him 16 out of 31 on the wide receiver rankings. So right in the middle of my top 200 board at 101. I have a third round grade on Tyler Johson. Seems like that's the sweet spot for him to go. I haven't evaluated a group of wide receivers like this. And Tyler is produced so much at the University of Minnesota. Like anytime you needed a big play, Tanner Morgan was going to Tyler Johson. And the route running, the short to intermediate game is where he thrives. The technique that you get from a PJ Fleck, Matt Simon receiver is attractive to NFL teams. He can play in the slot or outside, and he showed a lot of flashes in the red zone too. For a guy that's not a 6'3" big X wide receiver, he has the vertical jump skills. We saw that at Minneapolis North, his ability to go up and dunk the ball and show off all those hops. It comes out on the football field too. And it's so difficult when you have a loaded wide receiver class to project where he's going to go. Some team could fall in love with him and pick him in the early second round. I expect him to be third round target on day 2, just because of the production, the versatility that he has. He is going to give some teams some significant value in a class that's truly historic at the wide receiver position.
Well, here's the weird thing about him, because he's literally gotten into zero trouble at the U. There's never been talk of any character problem, attitude problem. And I think even you being at the U for many of the years he was, you hear rumblings about people that don't go public. Why has anyone even questioned his character?
I don't know why that got leaked out. And anyone you talk with associated with the program, all you got to do is look at Tyler Johson had a day named after him in the city of Minneapolis in January. You see the guy's impact. And not only that, but he got better every single year. Like there's no effort issue there. Something improved every single year with his game. And I know that that's going to continue in the NFL. A team will be rewarded. It's just when are they going to take that chance and pick Johson?
Hopefully they do, because I think you and I have watched him enough to know that he's going to make an impact anywhere, and he could be a steal. If he's going a little bit later on, that's a great pick.
Yeah, and the scouts really wanted to see what he would run the 40 at. He wasn't able to do any of that at the scouting combine. He wanted to wait and run it at his pro day. Then it got canceled. But my guess is he'd fall in the prototype of someone like Mohamed Sanu, who would have tested probably pretty similar if we had Tyler Johnson's metrics. Another player that PJ Fleck coached at Rutgers. So NFL teams are filling in the gaps with analytics, and they're able to guess which type of player is going to project a certain way in terms of testing. So everyone's being creative. We don't know how it's going to impact values. I'm excited to see how the virtual format works and it impacts these guys that are clustered in the middle of draft boards.
Right. That's a question that I actually haven't gotten to ask you about. How much does it hurt these guys? The fact that they haven't had all the opportunities to show off and have the pro days and all those kind of things, especially, I mean, Minnesota is getting more and more well known, but it's not on TV every week like Alabama or Notre Dame or Ohio State or anything like that. Do you think guys that are playing for, say, a Minnesota have a disadvantage?
Yeah, I think it's across the board. I don't just think it's Minnesota. The pro days are where teams gather a lot of data. Rick Spielman talked about it yesterday. What they were doing is agent contacted him and they're like, okay, how do you want us to shoot a virtual pro day? And they said, wide angle it so that we can put it up on a screen and try to time it ourselves. So
Oh,
teams are getting really creative. And not only that, but Rick Spielman mentioned being able to get a lot of information from college coaches because they're not tied up with spring ball. They're able to have 2-hour conversations with a coach. They can talk to the head coach, the position guy, strength coach. Access to the coaches was a lot easier. So maybe we're blowing it all out of proportion that they're not going to have the testing metrics that are very important or the information. Even the analytics, you can go back 10 to 15 years and take data like the Vikings did and fill in gaps for players that have certain measurables.
mhm.
Maybe we're blowing it out of proportion, but we don't know. The people in the back half of the draft are probably going to feel the effects more
Mhm.
than those that are in the first 4 rounds. It's from
Right.
like round 5 to 7 that you're throwing darts probably more than you normally would.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely think too, having a coach like PJ is gotta be helpful because he is an advocate. When Rodney Smith was on last week, he even said PJ's been making calls for him, things like that. And when you got that cheerleader as your coach too, and somebody that just has your back no matter what, like he's gonna be getting out there and getting the word out about these guys.
And that's something you want from your head coach. He's able to tell recruits that as well. I have the relationships with the NFL. He was a position coach at the NFL level, so he has the relationships in the league. I'm wondering in the future, is PJ Fleck going to take a Matt Rule route and go to the NFL? Very well could.
I feel like he could do anything he wanted to, but I feel like he likes developing young men
Yeah.
so much that I don't see him leaving college because of that.
I don't see it happening either, but it's something to think about with all these coaches at the college level and culture becoming such an important thing in the NFL and then surrounding yourself with the scheme guys. PJ Fleck could be an NFL target in the future.
Oh, I'm sure he already has been. I think that he just needs to consult for the NFL just because of the whole character stuff. And I can just see him giving them great ideas and building their brand more and things like that and just kind of getting a better reputation a little bit. PJ is the kind of guy that could do that.
Yeah, PJ is great at selling his program. And not only that, but the recruits are seeing all this stuff with the NFL draft. It's a big opportunity.
Absolutely. So next up, we have Carter Coughlin. What role do you think he'll play in the NFL, and what round do you see him being selected in?
He could be a 6th-round pick, maybe a late 5 after his testing. You look at being over a 9 in the relative athletic score out of 10. I knew he would test well at Eden Prairie. We saw all the data of his testing metrics, and they were above average in everything. So now at the NFL level, proving at the scouting combine that he had the athletic traits, that was huge. At Minnesota, he was playing the rush end position. I see him as an off-ball linebacker, and that's how other NFL teams view him. So he'll play 3-4 hybrid linebacker in the NFL, and it's probably going to suit his skill set better. And he'll benefit from the fact that he had all that pass rush productivity. He can help as a blitzer. I've even said I'd look at him as a 4-3 outside linebacker, investing in him as a Sam guy. It might take some time, but you can use him on special teams for the time being. He can definitely provide value there. But he's one of the people that helped provide himself with more improved draft stock because of his combine performance. That happens all the time, but Coughlin certainly started to gain a lot of interest after showing what he could do. I'd keep an eye on a team like the Philadelphia Eagles for Carter Coughlin. They would be an excellent fit defensively, and they've been linked to Carter a little bit.
Wow. It would almost be sad to see him go there because obviously the Eagles fans are not probably the favorite in Minnesota, but whatever's the best for him. I mean, they're going to be getting a beast, whoever gets him.
Yeah, Carter Coughlin can do a lot of different things, and that's what they're looking for in the NFL, guys who are versatile and have experience in a lot of different areas.
Great. Well, we've got a lot. Well, that's the great thing about this is we have so many more Gophers to talk about. So we'll kind of do like a more rapid fire now to just like crank through all these guys and where we expect them to go. So let's start with linebacker Kamal Martin. How will his knee injury and also the whole COVID-19 affect his draft status?
I have him high on my board in the 6th, 7th round range. With the linebacker class looking like it does, it falls off after the first 2 tiers, and you're mining a lot more than you normally would. So that's beneficial to Kamal Martin. You look at the production that he had, watch the 15 tackle game against Nebraska. Despite having injuries, he racked up tackles. I believe he was 4th in tackles on the team despite missing a couple games. When he's on the field, he made a huge impact. Bulking up slightly was huge because it helped him take on blocks and be more effective against the run. And in space, he's a really sound tackler. He can help as a blitzer too. Teams are going to like the athleticism and range that he can provide. I don't even think he was completely showcasing himself of what he can do because there's still a lot of untapped potential in his game, and he'll be solid on special teams right away. Maybe 6th, 7th round range, but could be a UDFA because, hey, the whole process of pro days being canceled and not having the ability to work out at the combine or at the Senior Bowl because of his knee, he's still interviewed, but it's a little bit different.
I know these guys are getting so creative, but I think about like my workouts without having a gym and I'm just a regular person. I can't imagine how these guys and the creativity that they're having to use to keep in shape and be at the top of their performance level.
And the college guys, it's interesting. Like, how are they maintaining that? The NFL players have a lot more access to resources and teams are sending them equipment. How are the college guys holding up with this? And the virtual OTAs and mini camps that are about to come, how do you accomplish anything and make sure that your guys are in the strength and conditioning program? Is that going to impact draft strategy? Because are you less willing to take a chance on developmental people because you might have less contact with guys and your coaches? So this is fascinating. I'm excited to see how teams approach it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see this and see like what they do like immediately after they're drafted, because normally they're shipping off the second that it happens. But now what are they going to be doing?
Yeah, and teams are getting in contact with them, and they have plans already in place to get those guys up to speed. And it's going to be a lot of classroom learning and virtual stuff right away, more so than integrating in and taking that time. I can't wait to see what happens.
I bet. What about safety Chris Williamson? Do you think he could be the surprise player who's picked in the 7th round?
I think Chris Williamson possibly projects as a nickel or a safety at the next level, which is intriguing. You see what he did in the nickel spot with the Gophers, matched up with dynamic guys like KJ Hamler, Rondale Moore, big parts of those schemes. And in a dime hybrid type role where he can play corner, be a physical corner style guy that has movement skills like a corner and physicality like a linebacker, that's super helpful and gives him some versatility. He could be the surprise person that gets picked in round 7. He's had a lot of contact with NFL teams, and he plays a role that a lot of squads are trying to add to their team. And you see the athletic skills. I know he would have tested extremely well had he had the opportunity. I wish he would have gotten a combine invite, but he did participate at the East-West Shrine game. And people I know that were down there told me Chris Williamson made a really strong impression. And that's the type of thing you want to hear when you're thinking about, is a guy going to be picked? It's going to be fringe 7th round UDFA range.
Great. What about Sam Renner, defensive tackle? What can he bring to the table at the next level?
I love Sam Renner because of his versatility. And he was one of the underrated players in that defense, playing 3-technique defensive tackle. He was disruptive in the Nebraska game. I had the chance to do a video breakdown with Sam, and he took me through how he sets up his moves, and he's very smart and methodical. He knows that the spin move is something that you have to set up over the course of a game. And it was amazing to dive into his insight and really see how much film study he puts in, the things he's thinking about while he's on the field. NFL teams will love that. And the ability to kick inside and play on pass rushing downs, maybe becoming a defensive end in the NFL, that's the craze now. Being the more you can do on sub packages, on third down, being able to align at different techniques, that's going to be able to allow you to carve out a role in the NFL. And I know he can do stuff on special teams too. So UDFA target for an NFL team that they could be rewarded if they have the staff to develop him to another level.
Great. What about our guy, Rodney Smith, who we both spoke to last week? You did film breakdown with him, and I did an interview with him as well. What system do you see him fitting into best?
Outside zone schemes, and he talked about that with me. The 49ers are a team that has shown interest, and it makes a lot of sense because they're an outside zone heavy team with a lot of play action, and Rodney showed what he could do off outside zone. It was fun going through those clips with him and having the opportunity to go inside his mind and understand the reads that he's making. And we went through all that on the video. I think he has a future career as an analyst. I told him, you did a really good job taking us inside all that. And I know a lot of fans really enjoyed it too. Rodney, undrafted free agent, everyone's looking for that third down back with versatility. Rodney has kick return experience, pass protection skills. The receiving side of it really wasn't tapped into at Minnesota, and the outside zone scheme. Mm-hmm. As teams decide that they maybe don't value running backs and pay them premium deals, they're always looking for those gems in the 6th, 7th round undrafted free agent range that can come in and contribute at a rookie salary. So Rodney's going to have a chance, and we'll see where it is.
I don't know if the NFL teams look a lot into this, but I mean, the fact that, you said that he'd be a great analyst because he's a really smart player, but also too, I mean, he's played under 3 head coaches and he's very adaptable. He's very flexible. He's been on our team when we've only had running backs, and he's shared the glory when we've had great wide receivers. So, I mean, that's got to count for something.
Well, and think about all these players in this draft class that went through change and have roles that evolved over time. They are well adept to being able to make quick switches and learn fast and pick up systems, have experience in multiple different schemes. Those are things that NFL teams really like too. So I'm going with it, Nadine. I'm saying Antoine Winfield, round 1. If the Vikings trade Anthony Harris, I believe the Vikings should draft Antoine Winfield Jr. And would that be an unbelievable story? Oh. Like father, like son, get to play for the Vikings. It would not surprise me. Zimmer loves creativity. Keep an eye on Winfield as a potential Vikings target, depending upon how the board shakes out and if they make any other moves.
Well, I sure do hope you are right, and you are often right. So that would be amazing. I think we pretty much got through all of the guys that we should be looking forward to in the next couple days hearing about. And our great recruiting class, that's number 5, you said, in the nation right now, is only 7 last week. Anything else you want to leave us with before you probably make about 10 more appearances?
I have a lot of appearances scheduled, but draft day is like Christmas, so I'm excited for it. I just want to thank everyone out there, the healthcare professionals, the grocery store employees, the teachers, the supply chain workers, delivery drivers, post office people. Thanks for everything you're doing right now, because we are really seeing the power of unity right now. When people come together, we can accomplish great things. So with everything going on in the world, I hope football is an escape for everyone that's watching this channel. But we're going to get through this together. And when it's done, we're going to have a nice celebration together enjoying the football season.
Hopefully it is at TCF Bank Stadium, and hopefully it's this fall. So I couldn't agree with your thoughts even more. I'm so grateful to all those people. And also too, it's one thing to say it on this, but I like every time I go in, if it's Walgreens, if it's the grocery store, those few runs you make, and just thanking them, thank you for working. Thank you for making this possible, because I don't think that they were as appreciated as they should be, even nowadays, and same with all of our healthcare and our deliveries and just every essential worker out there. They're putting themselves at risk so we can be on this podcast and be safe and have the right equipment and have it delivered to us, and to be able to create some entertainment.
We're going to get through this, everyone. We're going to get through it together. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. It was great talking to you, and thank you for all your insight. Daniel House, NFL, follow him. He has got great insight into everything, and he will keep you posted on all things NFL draft.
Thanks for having me, Nadine.